The Horus Heresy is one of the most richly detailed parts of the timeline within the Warhammer 40,000 universe, serving as an event that shaped the dystopian future depicted in the lore. This civil war among the Emperor of Mankind's most trusted generals not only introduced chaos and treachery into the Imperium, but also set the stage for the grimdark themes central to the Warhammer 40k setting. The Horus Heresy is rooted in the era known as the Great Crusade, a massive military campaign led by the Emperor of Mankind to unify humanity across the galaxy and reclaim lost human worlds. The Emperor, a powerful, immortal psychic being, aimed to create a utopian human empire, free from the influences of alien species and the corrupting powers of the warp, a parallel dimension of psychic energy inhabited by malevolent entities. To achieve this, the Emperor created the Primarchs, 20 superhuman beings imbued with his own genetic material, each one a paragon of leadership, warfare, and various aspects of humanity. The Primarchs were scattered across the galaxy by the Chaos Gods, 4 malevolent deities in the warp, who feared the Emperor's power and sought to undermine his plans. Eventually, the Emperor discovered the scattered Primarchs, reuniting them with their respective Space Marine legions, also genetically engineered from their Primarch's DNA. With his sons at the helm of these legions, the Emperor embarked on the Great Crusade, conquering and bringing countless worlds under the Imperium's banner. Horus Lupercal, one of the most charismatic and capable Primarchs, was the first to be found by the Emperor and thus held a special bond with him. Horus was appointed the War Master, second only to the Emperor himself, and given command over the entire military campaign of the Great Crusade. The Emperor, having achieved significant success in the Crusade, decided to return to Terra to work on secretive projects, leaving Horus in charge. Horus's elevation to War Master sowed the seeds of jealousy and resentment among some of the other Primarchs, but he was generally well respected and loved by his brothers. However, the forces of chaos saw an opportunity to exploit the power and influence of Horus. They recognized that turning him against the Emperor could bring about the downfall of the Imperium. The corruption of Horus was a calculated effort by the Chaos Gods. The turning point came on the planet Davin, where Horus was grievously wounded by a chaos-tainted weapon. As Horus lay dying, his followers took him to a temple dedicated to the Chaos Gods, hoping to save him. In a vision orchestrated by the Chaos Gods, Horus was shown a future where the Emperor betrayed his sons and humanity suffered under his tyrannical rule. These visions, coupled with the Chaos Gods' manipulations, convinced Horus that the Emperor sought to become a god and enslave humanity. Feeling betrayed, Horus succumbed to the promises of power and glory offered by Chaos. His fall was sealed when he pledged allegiance to the Chaos Gods, believing he could use their power to overthrow the Emperor and rule the galaxy. With Horus's fall to Chaos, he began to secretly sow the seeds of rebellion. He reached out to other Primarchs, exploiting their fears, ambitions, and discontent with the Emperor's rule. Several Primarchs joined Horus, turning their legions to Chaos. These included Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children, who fell under the sway of Slaanesh; Angron of the World Eaters, whose lust for violence and battle made him a perfect servant of Khorne; Mortarion of the Death Guard, who aligned with Nurgle, the Chaos God of decay and disease; Magnus the Red of the Thousand Sons, who was driven to rebellion after a series of tragic misunderstandings and betrayals, aligning himself with Tzeentch, the god of change and sorcery; Lorgar of the Word Bearers, who had already secretly been worshipping Chaos and saw Horus's rebellion as the fulfillment of his religious devotion; Perturabo of the Iron Warriors, who was motivated by bitterness and resentment towards the Emperor and his perceived lack of appreciation; and finally Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords, whose nihilistic and sadistic tendencies found a home in the chaotic anarchy provided by Horus. The Horus Heresy formally began with the Istvaan III and Istvaan V campaigns. Horus orchestrated these operations to eliminate loyalist elements within his own and allied legions. Horus sent elements of his own Luna Wolves, the Emperor's Children, Death Guard, and World Eaters legions to Istvaan III under the guise of quelling a rebellion. Once loyalists landed, Horus ordered virus bombing of the planet, killing billions and attempting to eliminate those within his ranks still loyal to the Emperor. However, some loyalists survived, resulting in a brutal ground conflict that exposed the treachery of Horus and his allies. In a subsequent trap, Horus lured 7 loyalist legions to Istvaan V. 3 of these legions, the Iron Hands, Salamanders, and Raven Guard, landed first and engaged Horus's forces. The remaining 4 legions, who had secretly pledged loyalty to Horus, then turned on the Loyalists in a betrayal known as the Drop Site Massacre. The Loyalist forces were decimated, and the traitor legions solidified their rebellion. Following the Istvaan massacres, the galaxy was plunged into full-on civil war. Horus and his traitor legions began their march towards Terra, the heart of the Imperium, with the goal of confronting the Emperor. The Horus Heresy saw countless battles across the galaxy, with brother fighting brother and entire worlds laid to waste. Loyalist legions, led by Primarchs such as Roboute Guilliman and his Ultramarines, Lionel Johnson of the Dark Angels, and Rogel Dorn of the Imperial Fist, attempted to stem the tide of rebellion. The climax of the heresy was the Siege of Terra, a massive assault on the Imperial Palace itself. Horus's fleet, supported by the Dark Mechanicum and Chaos-aligned forces, laid siege to Terra, breaching its defenses. The battle saw some of the most iconic moments in Warhammer 40k lore, including the heroic last stand of the Emperor's Custodian Guard, the Sisters of Silence, and the Imperial Army. The endgame of the Horus Heresy took place aboard Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. In a final desperate act, Horus lowered the shields of his battleship, inviting the Emperor to a duel. The Emperor, accompanied by the Primarchs Rogel Dorn and Sanguinius, teleported aboard the Vengeful Spirit. In a tragic twist, Sanguinius, the angelic Primarch of the Blood Angels, reached Horus first. Despite their bond, Horus, now fully corrupted by chaos, killed Sanguinius in a brutal confrontation. This marked Horus's complete fall to darkness. The Emperor then faced Horus in a titanic battle. Initially holding back due to his love for his son, the Emperor suffered grievous wounds. Realizing that Horus was beyond redemption, the Emperor unleashed his full psychic might, obliterating Horus's soul and erasing him from existence. However, the Emperor was mortally wounded in the process. The Emperor's victory over Horus came at a great cost. Mortally wounded, he was placed in the Golden Throne, a life support device that maintained his shattered body and allowed him to guide humanity through the warp's turbulent tides. The Emperor's incapacitation marked the end of the Great Crusade and the beginning of the Imperium's long, slow decline. The traitor legions, now fully corrupted by chaos, retreated into the Eye of Terror, a massive warp rift, where they continued their worship of the Chaos Gods and waged a long war against the Imperium. The Loyalist legions, many of which suffered heavy losses, reorganized into smaller chapters as part of the Codex Astartes, a doctrine written by Roboute Guilliman to prevent any future rebellions. The Horus Heresy left deep scars on the Imperium. The dream of a united, enlightened human empire was shattered, replaced by a theocratic, oppressive regime ruled by the High Lords of Terra, with the Emperor revered as a god. The galaxy was forever divided between the forces of chaos and the Imperium, locked in an eternal war. The Horus Heresy not only marked a military and political shift, but also brought about a significant cultural and religious transformation within the Imperium. Before the heresy, the Emperor had advocated for a secular human empire, dismissing religion as a source of division and superstition. However, the events of the heresy led to the rise of the imperial cult, which defied the Emperor and established a state religion centered on his worship. This religious shift was heavily influenced by the Word-bearers, who, after their fall to chaos, had spread the seeds of religious fervor throughout the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy, the religious arm of the Imperium, emerged as a powerful institution, promoting the worship of the Emperor as the God-Emperor of mankind. This transformation fundamentally altered the cultural and spiritual landscape of the Imperium, reinforcing its dogmatic nature. In the millennia following the heresy, the Imperium remains locked in an endless struggle against the forces of chaos, Xenos threats, and internal dissent. The traitor legions, now known as Chaos Space Marines, launch periodic raids and Black Crusades from the Eye of Terror, seeking to bring down the Imperium. The Loyalist Space Marine chapters continue to defend humanity, inspired by the sacrifices of their Primarchs and the Emperor's enduring legacy. The Horus Heresy is a defining moment in the Warhammer 40,000 narrative, encapsulating the setting's themes of heroism, tragedy, and the internal struggle between order and chaos. It transformed the Imperium from a beacon of hope and unity into a grim, authoritarian regime, forever scarred by the betrayal of its greatest champions. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Horus Heresy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another lore video. Did you have a favorite moment from the heresy? Drop it in the comments below, and stay tuned for more Warhammer 40k content as we unravel the mysteries and legends of the grim dark future. Until next time, remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.